What's up, guys? We're here at AMC Town Square with Chasing Cinema.
Mr. James Shoop.com,
and as you know from the YouTube title description, this video is about
Free State of Jones.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yes, we did review Independence Day Resurgence, though. Make sure
already
to click
live.
That link.
The Shallows, Blake Lively, already live.
Yep, and also my review with the cast of Independence Day Resurgence is also going to be up there. So make sure to check that out. However, now we move to the opposite side. But we got aliens, we got action, we got comedy and all that fun stuff. We got some horror, and now we're moving on to the completely different side of the spectrum to do a period piece and a historical piece about a man by the name of Newton Knight, played by Matthew McConaughey, based on a true story. I was able to get some insight to this movie at CinemaCon during the presentation for STX, which STX Entertainment. If you want to check out that video, I'll plug that in here as well. A rising company who is really trying to kind of do some really interesting projects on a lower budget, on a smaller scale, but tell really great character stories, and they have a lot of stuff coming out that I'm really actually excited to see, but a little bit more in the future. So this is kind of one of their first big kickoff movies, and we got to see like about 15 minutes of it at CinemaCon, and from what I saw, it looked quite interesting. Looked heavy-handed, you're kind of going into a movie that's going to be really like drag you through the mud, but I'm hoping it's worth it. Matthew McConaughey being the amazing actor that he is, why not?
How long's the movie?
It's gonna be about 2 hours and 20 minutes, so
it's a little longer than one.
It's going long, so yeah. But I'm hoping it's good,
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, so I watched ID4 2. You watched Freer State.
Freer State, the sequel. I watched Free State of Jones.
Is this something I need to watch, or I'm all good?
Well, it depends. I think that...
So no.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think this is a movie that you would probably want to seek out. Like, I think this movie, I mean, it's a decent movie. It's not bad, but it's not great. Like, I think a lot of people see this movie and you're like, oh, it's going to be that really like dramatic movie that the Oscars are going to talk about and stuff like that. And people make that assumption all the time, and that's not the case here. Like, it's an okay movie. It's a historical piece, and in the very beginning, if you don't know, let me give you a little story about Newton Knight. Newton Knight basically is this story of this man who was a part of the Confederate Army during the Civil War, and he was kind of tired of fighting for the Confederates and the way that they were treating the people in the South. So he decided to kind of band together with some runaway slaves and other people who were leaving, the deserters, leaving the Confederate Army, and kind of rose amongst themselves to fight back the Confederate Army that was just kind of bullying all the people. They were taking all their corn, all their hogs, and all that stuff. So it's about this kind of like group of a militia, and they basically created their own little country during the Civil War. And I think that section of the movie, and that's the problem, is really good. But the Civil War ends, I would say, probably at about 1 hour and 40 minutes in, and we still have another, we have another like 40 minutes. And the movie is so focused and so tight in the beginning. Like, we have this really great war sequence and just shows you the kind of things that push Matthew McConaughey away. But as the movie progresses, we become more and more vague, and it's just kind of like starting to become like bullet pointing this man's life. Like, I think that if you take that movie about like the Civil War uprising, you have a pretty decent movie. Because I mean, well, first of all, don't see this movie if you don't like gore, because the few war scenes in this movie, not that there's a lot, but some really horrible visuals in like the very first 10 minutes. Matthew McConaughey is really good in this movie. He's also joined by a lady that I would totally butcher her name, but I'm going to refer to as Miss Raw. But she's very good in this movie. I mean, absolutely wonderful. And their chemistry is really good. But like I said, once you leave that kind of Civil War, because their story does continue. In all fairness, this story of the Free State of Jones, it does continue, and then it ends up like going to talk about African Americans getting the right to vote very early on, even though they were denied, and then they placed all these things. And then it actually jumps forward to a court case that takes place 85 years after all of this. And at first you're like, wait, what's going on here? Like, what is this? And they try to like hold what's going on to the end, and it feels like it just gets in the way. Like, I understand why they did it with again, trying to be vague. They want to kind of show you the tie-ins of how this affected people even 85 years later, but it just feels like it's getting in the way of telling this really like focused movie, and it just looks like as we go on it becomes kind of more like a slideshow of history. And for history buffs, you'll really enjoy the movie. And I think that it's a really, really interesting story that I don't think a lot of people know about, but I think as a movie, it drags, and I think for some people it kind of gets boring because after a while, and you're just skipping forward 7 years, 6, and you're just like going to different patches, you don't feel that connection anymore. And I think that's where this movie kind of suffers. Again, there's a lot of good in it, but overall I feel like this is a movie you're like kind of starting to watch your clock after you're like, wait, this is happening now, it's kind of early. And then like that focus just loses itself, and you could just kind of tell that your interest in the movie is disappearing as it goes on. And I was kind of bummed because I thought that it was going to be strong because it starts off very strong.
Love it.
No questions.
No.
Okay, no. But yeah, history buffs, I think, or people who like Matthew McConaughey, like I think it's a good movie to watch eventually, but it's not a favorite. I mean, right now I would say Independence Day and Free State of Jones are. I would say Free State of Jones I probably liked a little bit more, but they're like not far. They're both movies that I was just like, damn, I wish they were better.
Hopefully we're impressed because we're gonna watch The Shallows with Blake Lively in a bikini tomorrow.
Yes.
And you really can't lose already.
Can I ask you a question?
No.
Do you have a fear of sharks?
Like, am I afraid of them? In what sense?
Like, are you afraid of sharks? Like, would you, if I was like, here, James, let's go scuba diving in the middle of the ocean.
Well, I've done that. I've done shark diving.
You sicko.
I've done shark diving in the tank.
No, you haven't? Have you really?
Yeah, when we went to Hawaii this last time. Not this last time, but the one before
Oh, actually, I think I remember that. Yeah, you're sick. Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't like Jaws size,
It don't
They're
matter.
like, like 15 of the ones like the size of your leg, like that.
Well, if you would have told me that you were going cage diving, I would have told you this story about Jaws. When they actually filmed the cage diving scene, there was a dummy in the cage, and right after they ran out of film, they finished wrapping. A real great white went through, broke the wire, and it got itself tangled up, and he just dragged the cage down with him. So like that's the kind of fate you're looking at. Anyway, I am terrified of sharks. I don't like sharks. I'm not someone I probably will never find myself in the middle of the ocean. Not only because I'm afraid to be stranded, because I've seen many movies where people are stranded, and the thought of dying of dehydration while you're in a body of water just seems torturous. Sharks, all that fun stuff. Plus, it's dark down there. I don't like the dark, none of that stuff. But I'm doing Shark Week this week and exploring my fear of sharks beyond Jaws. Jaws is one of my favorite movies of all time. But I'm exploring some more to prepare for this movie. So I'm hoping this movie really kind of measures up, because you notice a lot of movies try to replicate Jaws, and they don't do a very good job. Watched Open Water. Do you ever see that one? Where the two people get stranded in the water.
No.
Left. Shark Night 3D. Yikes. Yikes, man. Let me just tell you the plot of Shark Night 3D. These guys take sharks out of the ocean and put them in a saltwater lake and attach cameras to them, because they figure if they feed people to these sharks, they could sell the videos to Shark Week fanatics. Yikes. But there has been some interesting shark movies that I did see. I actually did like Open Water, even though a lot of people hated that movie when it came out. But I'm really looking forward to the that was just my roundabout way of saying I'm really looking forward to The Shadows.
Love it.
And but make sure to go check out my last week recap, week 24, right up in that white dot.
Love it. 7 days later, what are we watching?
We are watching Tarzan.
Margot Robbie. Woo!
Not the BFG. BFG is the following week. Margot Robbie. Oh man. The Purge, I believe, comes out.
Election year.
The Secret Life of Pets, I want to say, comes out.
I'm watching Purge.
Purge. I want to say there's one more, but I think I'm wrong. I don't know.
Moving on.
Moving forward.
is known as
The Film Lovers website.